in low rental housing? I mean, we hear a lot of these types of concerns. Where do you think their priorities lie?
Well, they are so out of touch, and they're mainly concerned, and their priorities are focused on to help their rich friends, multinational corporations and big corporations. They have no clue what the needs are of an ordinary person in British Columbia. And in Burnaby Edmonds, we have seen lots of, which we see every day, lots of poor people. Their needs are different than somebody who's living on a Bay Street or downtown Vancouver or somewhere else. The government has to do everything to ensure that those people are not left out. That's what NDP has been saying. That's what Carol James has been saying, that when we have a good economy, make sure everybody benefits from that. When we have economy which is not that as good as it has been, make sure those people who need help are given help. We have been asking for minimum wage to be increased for last 7 years. The government has absolutely failed to recognize that need. The minimum wage needs to be increased to $10 an hour. That's our demand, and we have been saying it. We heard from the government that, oh no, the economy was good, so there was no need for it. Economy will take care of it. Now, economy is not that so good. It's going down, and now they are saying, oh well, economy is not so good, so we can't increase it.
Right.
So it's an excuse after excuse this government has, and people who need help are left out.
Now, with this economy downturn, there's been a noticeable increase in more attacks from the Liberal government on the NDP and Carol James, and I'm wondering, why do you think there's an increase of just sort of personal attacks?
This government has realized that their policies have failed. This government has realized that Carol James has connected with ordinary people. Carol James has traveled all over British Columbia. She has gone to every community, every town, talking to people, dealing with their real issues. So they are so afraid. They're so desperate in order to, divert attention. So they're attacking NDP and Carol James rather than dealing with the real issues. So that's what they're doing.
Well, we have to take a short break. We'll be displaying some contact information of how people can reach you in the constituency. So please grab a pen and write down phone numbers and I believe addresses as well for mailing in to contact Raj Chouhan in his constituency office. Hello and welcome back to Constituency Report on Shaw TV. My name is Edward May and we're speaking with Raj Chouhan, new Democrat MLA for Burnaby Edmonds. Raj, before the break we were talking about affordable housing, and I'd like to take it one step further and say, now I understand homelessness has been traditionally a downtown east side story when people think about homelessness in British Columbia. Have you found that it's surfaced as a serious problem at Burnaby as well?
Well, the Burnaby Task Force on Homelessness, in their last count, they have counted approximately 250 people living on the street in Burnaby. So it's a huge issue. The task force has done a great job to bring people together to make this issue a priority, to have some services for them. Winter is fast approaching, and we have to have these people for some shelter there. They're doing it, but they're doing it in a sort of isolation, because the funding that the province has to provide is not there. We need it. It's a desperate situation. It's so bad. In Burnaby, we never have heard so many people living on the street. They are dealing with the issue of addiction, mental illness, poverty of all kind. In British Columbia, you must have heard that every fourth child is living in poverty. When a child is living in a poverty, he or she is not living by him or herself. The whole family is poor. When people are not able to provide food and shelter themselves, many of them end up on street. Many people lost their houses because of the price of the real estate was so high, and they're on street. It's not typical as we have seen in the past, homeless people. You would see people who have never been on street before, and they have no other choice.
Right, and so there's a changing face to who is homeless in British Columbia.
It's a totally changing face. It's such a sad situation. I really admire people like Wanda and others on Homeless Task Force who are doing their best, everything, to help these people.
And cities, and you're saying cities are struggling, but they're not really getting the support they need from the province.
Well, the city can only do so much. It's the provincial responsibility, and city is doing whatever they can. But the BC Liberal government has to assume more responsibility to deal with that issue.
Now, I'd like to switch gears here a bit and talk about the SkyTrain safety. I understand this is also a big issue for, you have a couple stations in Burnaby, is that correct?
In Burnaby Edmonds, we have Royal Oak and Burnaby Edmonds station. This year alone at Burnaby Edmonds, since January, we have had about 10 incidents of sexual attacks on women. So it's quite a scary situation. We have had some incidents of drug being peddled around Royal Oak. KINA, Kingsway Imperial Neighborhood Association, they have been working really hard with the local police and the business people to make sure that area is safe. KINA, Diane Gillis is their leader. They're working with the community to make sure that people around, or those who use SkyTrain, they feel safe. But we need to do a lot more than that.
Right.
The NDP have had a petition started some time ago. We have collected thousands and thousands of signatures. Adrian Dix himself alone has collected many thousand signatures around Joyce Street SkyTrain station. So it's an issue, ongoing issue. We need to deal with it.
And so far, you believe the Campbell government is coming up short on solutions?
We haven't seen any solution. We have heard Kevin Falcon making time to time big, huge statements, but they are empty.
Right.
It's just empty rhetoric. We haven't seen any real solution coming from this government to make it safe for commuters who use SkyTrain. On one hand, the government is saying people should be getting out of their cars and they use more public transit. Public transit can only be used if it's safe, if it's affordable.
Right.
For somebody who wants to come from Surrey to go to downtown, it's $10 return trip.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
And at the same time, the TransLink board of directors, they are increasing their wages by 100%. Yet, people who are using public transit, they can't even get their minimum wage increased to $10.
And so no matter where they turn, they're being hit even greater in the pocketbook.
Exactly. Exactly.
Another issue regarding safety is workplace safety, and I understand you've done some work around the mushroom farmers with your colleagues as well?
Well, issue of farm worker safety has been,